This is Fusion. We're live right now where a group of dreamers are knocking the door of Representative Luis Gutierrez. They're trying to ask for some kind of immigration reform that actually is inclusive of everybody that is undocumented at the moment, not just dreamers.
Bueno, estamos aquí esperando que el congresista Luis Gutiérrez abra la puerta. No sé si se nos escapó ya, pero ahorita vamos a ver. So we're here at Congressman Gutierrez's office, and we're waiting
This is
for him.
Fusion. We're live right now. There's a group of dreamers that are trying to get into a meeting with Representative Luis Gutierrez to ask for inclusive immigration reform, not just for dreamers.
I think the office got word from Lofgren that we were gonna come here. So I am really disappointed that Gutierrez is shutting down the office on dreamers that he say that he wants to protect. And for everybody watching us home, today's the last day that congressmen and women are here. Hi. Sorry. We are here on behalf of all undocumented immigrants. We're fighting for permanent protection, dignity, and respect. And we wanted to give this letter to your boss. We saw that he's leading the fight to get pardoning for our dreamers, which I have DACA. So I think that is great that he's doing that. But I also have a mom and a dad that are undocumented workers that are part of the millions.
And about all the other undocumented immigrants that are even more vulnerable than dreamers, farm workers, domestic workers, construction workers that also need protection and need even more protection than dreamers who have been fighting for years now, and others still hide in the shadows because they still have fear and they need even more protection now in the lieu of a Trump administration. Here we have Kata, who's going to tell us about her experience and why those vulnerable should be protected.
I am here because, as you can hear, Luis Gutierrez, his name says it all, he's Latino. I am tired of him just including dreamers in this narrative of needing protection or deserving of protection. I am here because I am tired of not hearing my parents being included in that narrative, and how they wake up every single day, 4 a.m., work sometimes. No son parte de esa narrativa de quien merece esa protección. Estoy cansada de ver cómo mis padres trabajan todos los días bajo el sol, muchas veces desde las 4 de la mañana, en los files, ahí en agricultura.
Estoy cansada de que ellos no
inside Senator Gutierrez's office, where there's a group of dreamers asking for inclusive immigration reform, not just for them, but also their parents and their family members. Lo que queremos que haga es que pida un perdón para todos los inmigrantes, no solo los soñadores, pero también los soñadores originarios, incluyendo mis padres y los 11 millones de inmigrantes indocumentados.
So one of the organizers there, Kata, was saying,
my name is Thaish. I'm a DACA recipient. I want to share that as dreamers, we share a privilege that not many people in our community have. And DACA has made us forget what fear was like. And on election night, we all felt the fear of what it would be like to be fully undocumented again, to not have an ID, to not be able to drive, to have no protection from deportation. But as dreamers, we have to remember that fear, even though we forgot what it's like, 11 million people in this country lived with that fear for the last years that they have been here. And so, deserving and who is undeserving of permanent protection in this country. It's not enough for Democrats to just want to protect dreamers. Democrats have to push to protect all undocumented immigrants. Democrats won the popular vote, and so it's time that they start acting like it, fight to unite the immigrant community, stand with us, because this is what our community needs. And we have to stand united in this time, because our community is feeling fear. And so it's time that we fight for permanent protection, dignity, and respect. And for Representative Gutierrez, we have a few demands for you. We want you to fight to pardon all undocumented immigrants, all 11 million of us. We also want your offices, both here in DC and in your home district, to become a sanctuary office for the undocumented people you claim to represent. We also want you to intervene in all of the deportation cases in your district. So please, do this, because that's what our community needs, and our community is going to rise up now more so than ever before. And so you have a choice to either stand with us as we rise and we fight for permanent protection, dignity, or respect, or you continue to uphold the status quo where our people are in pain and our communities are being destroyed. So those are our demands.
Woo! Thank you. Okay, now we're going to sing this song, but we're going to sing it instead of courage. We're going to sing Immigrants, My Friend in honor of solidarity and for those of us here who are immigrants. I'm going to sing the first round as Immigrants, My Friend, and then please just start it yourself with a friend of yours, their name. So it could be Taish, it could be anybody, and a lot of people on this room. Okay. Immigrants, immigrants, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home.
Que todos sean protegidos bajo este perdón que los demócratas están pidiendo. So,
My friend, you do not walk alone.
An interview very quickly. So we are live right now, and I just want to, you can give me a little bit of a summary of what's going on right now.
So right now, as you can see, we are in Congressman Luis Gutierrez's office, and his name says it all. He's Latino, and what we are here to do is demand for him to be inclusive of this new narrative that doesn't just include dreamers. I myself, I'm a DACA recipient, and I am sick and tired of hearing this narrative of seeing all these Democrats who are asking for protection for just dreamers, when in reality we have to ask for protection that's inclusive, that's not divisive in our community. And that includes my parents. My parents are farm workers. They wake up at 4 a.m. and to pick all these different types of vegetables back in Homestead, Florida. And that's the reason why we are here, because we need protection for all 11 million undocumented immigrants, those that this country has its dependence on, of that labor that they give and contribute to this country.
Now, what does the election of Donald Trump means for dreamers, for immigrants here that might not be documented?
It means that as Movimiento Cosecha, we would still fight. We're still fighting for permanent protection, dignity, and respect, regardless of Trump presidency. It's just showing this hatred that we have in this country that we didn't see as a thing prior to seeing him as the president-elect.
Now, what kind of solutions are you looking for towards the issue of immigration specifically?
What we are seeking for is permanent protection. We're not saying immigration reform, because in the past that has been a negotiating term. It has meant more criminalization, it has meant more raids, more deportation. So what we want is permanent protection. I have DACA, I have renewed it, I'm paying $465 each time, and what we want is something that cannot be taken away from us, and alongside that, it's reclaiming our dignity and respect. So you can go check us out at lahuelga.com, LAHUELGA.com, and what we want is to use our power of labor and our power of consumerism, our buying power. We are building up to a general strike. This country has to see that it's dependent on us.
Now, last question. How does it feel? Maybe you yourself are a DACA recipient, or you have friends. How does it feel for them now to have a president who has been speaking this rhetoric against immigrants, and the concern that by already registering us in the DACA system, now there's a database for the government basically to go after these dreamers, after this young men and women that have been trying to do the right thing and register for DACA, and now they might be seeing this policy reversed.
I think as dreamers, we need to stop lying to ourselves. We will not be the first target. Many times, President-elect Trump just came out the other day in an interview and said that he will try to work something out for these young immigrants who he said, quoting him, saying that, some of them have good jobs and they give to this country because what has always happened is throwing parents under the bus. I remember my DACA application. It was like, I didn't know any better. I was brought into this country. So what we have to do now is just not fear, because that's a privilege. Being able to fear a loss of protection from deportation, which is what essentially DACA is, and having a driver's license, state ID. My parents never had that. So it's just like this everlasting fear that they have. So that's my perspective.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So for those that are just tuning in, we are right inside of Representative Luis Gutierrez, where there's a group of dreamers and supporters asking for inclusive protection to all undocumented immigrants here, not just dreamers.
Una poca de gracia y muchas huelgas y arriba, arriba. Ay, arriba, y arriba, por ti seré, por ti seré, por ti seré. Para borrar fronteras, para borrar fronteras se necesita una boca de gracia. Una poca de gracia y muchas huelgas y arriba, arriba, ay, arriba y arriba.
So we are live right now. This is Fusion, and we just want to know what's happening right now.
So right now we're in Representative Gutierrez's office because Gutierrez has been advocating about protection for dreamers in the lieu of a Trump administration, but he's forgetting a bunch of all the other undocumented immigrants that also need protection, right? Domestic workers, construction workers, farm workers, right? They're actually more vulnerable than dreamers. We're not saying don't protect dreamers or don't protect DACA, but don't forget about everybody else. Dreamers only make about 7% of the population, a little more than 7% of the population, so he's forgetting over 10 million people. Right? And that's why we're here today. We want him and all the Democrats that stand with him to also want to advocate and protect all the other immigrants.
Now, what about the people that say that undocumented immigrants take away American jobs?
Well, they act, undocumented immigrants and immigrants in general, are actually part of the infrastructure that makes everybody's lives here in the United States possible. So, yes, they do have jobs here, but like people, Americans, they can gladly take these jobs too. They're in the farms, construction workers, they're workers. Like, we don't actually take away jobs. We actually help provide the lifestyle that everybody in America lives now.
One last question. So what is the plan now, since everybody's here?
Yeah, so we're going to stay in this office either until the police come out and ask us to leave, or we can't stay any longer.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it
So for those that are just tuning in, this is Fusion. We're live inside the Representative Gutierrez office. There's a group of dreamers and supporters of dreamers asking for what they call permanent protection, not immigration reform. They feel like immigration reform, they have tried to push that a couple of times and that hasn't gone anywhere. So what they're asking for is permanent protection to all undocumented immigrants, not just dreamers. They were stating before that they don't believe that President-elect Trump will be going after them when he takes over the government, but instead he will be going after other undocumented immigrants that might not have that protection. So they are trying to bring to the attention that this is not just a dreamers issue, but this is a whole community that needs protection, and it's part of the texture and just this essence of the American experience.
Immigrants, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing
can also be hope, love, or friendship, or community, anything like that. Who wants to start one?
¿Quiénes de nuestra comunidad merecen
My friend,
merecemos estar protegidos y merecemos ser parte de perdón? Los demócratas están por más de 8 años y no han unido a la comunidad, si no lo vamos a tolerar más.
we will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. My friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Jesus, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home.
So for those that are just tuning in, we are right outside Representative Luis Gutierrez from Illinois, who the Dreamers and supporters of the Dreamers have decided to visit today to stage a sitting to basically ask for not just congressmen to not just look at Dreamers as the main benefactors, but as also to be more inclusive and include all undocumented immigrants for some kind of permanent protection that will be allowed them to live and work here in the country. They were saying before that their concern now that President-elect Trump will be taking office January 20th is not that they're going to be targeted because they believe that they're not a priority in the list of people that will be deported. They believe that undocumented immigrants outside of their group, Dreamers, are people that are going to be targeted. So they're asking for permanent protection from deportation.
My friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Diego, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Martha, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Fernando, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Lila, my friend, you do not walk alone.
So the Dreamers and supporters of them have been here now for about 20 minutes. And so far we have not seen any Capitol Police yet come over here, which is quite surprising. So they have decided to stay here and stage a sitting. They're not leaving Representative Gutierrez's office, and they're just waiting, I guess, for the police to show up. And what they're asking for is permanent protection, what they call permanent protection for all undocumented immigrants, not just Dreamers. They believe that it's not going to be them who's going to be targeted under the Trump presidency, but actually other undocumented immigrants that do not have any kind of protection from deportation So they are trying to bring to the attention to Democrats. They've been saying all day throughout the different visits they had to congressmen and congresswomen that they want Democrats to be bold, to act like they care about not just Dreamers, but about undocumented immigrants in general.
Took back my dignity and I took back my humanity, and it's under my feet, it's under my feet, it's under my feet. Ain't nobody gonna walk all over me. Went down to the office and I took back what they stole from me, and I took back my dignity.
So what are these candles that you're leaving over there?
So these candles are reminders of all the millions of undocumented immigrants that Congressman Gutierrez is not included in this narrative of who's deserving of protection. And these are reminders of the millions of undocumented immigrants who he needs to remember. And we also left pictures of those immigrants who are vulnerable to deportation, and just reminding Luis Gutierrez to remember them.
Now, what does the document that you left for him says specifically? I saw there was some kind of paperwork.
Yes, so those are our demands. So one is demanding that he asks for a pardon for all 11 million undocumented immigrants, and also for his office to be a sanctuary space for those vulnerable undocumented immigrants who could be in deportation proceedings.
So how much longer are you going to stay here?
We will stay here until they tell us to get out. Yes, because the time is now for everyone to join us. So visit us at lahuelga.com, lahuelga.com. Yes.
So what do you say to the people that are watching right now? There's some people that are saying that that your parents might have broken the law, so people are cheering. How do you say to all those people that are pro and con what your demands are?
So what we are saying here is that immigrants, that this country depends on immigrants. And what Movimiento Cosecha is doing is building up to a general strike for this country to recognize its dependence on our labor and our buying power, our immigrant consumerism. And it's ridiculous how immigrants have given so much to this country, and yet we don't have that dignity and respect we need.
Thank you. So for those that are just tuning in, we are right inside Representative Luis Gutierrez's office, Capitol Hill, where there's a group of about 16 to 18 Dreamers and supporters that are asking for Representative Gutierrez to act not just on behalf of Dreamers once Donald Trump takes the presidency, but also act in favor of all undocumented immigrants. They're asking for permanent protection. They believe that they're not going to be the main target of a Donald Trump presidency, but the other people that are not under protection of DACA or any other bill or executive order are going to be the ones that are going to be getting attacked and potentially deported by the presidency of Donald Trump. So they're here to basically, they've been saying, that they want, we're going to get
Her name is Bessie, and she's an undocumented worker in this country. That's her holding her first grandchild that was born in Texas. And whenever Democrats talk only about dreamers like me, people that have DACA, people that came here from very young, they ignore the labor power that the whole immigrant community has in this country. This country would not work without the undocumented labor. We work every day And so we need Democrats like Luis Gutierrez to protect all of us, not just a few. I have DACA, and I remember how scary it was to drive without a driver's license, and I will never forget the first day that I had that piece of paper that said that I was a licensed driver in Texas. And my first time driving with that piece of paper folded in my purse, I saw a cop behind me, and the usual flip of the heart happened that when you're undocumented you get every time you see an ambulance or a cop and you're driving without a driver's license in places like Texas that there's no public transportation and you have to be able to drive to work. But when the flip of the heart happened, I realized that I now had a license, and I started crying because I didn't have to be afraid anymore. And I don't want to lose DACA, and I want Democrats to fight for DACA, but I can't ignore the millions of people lost the fear of driving without a driver's license. The first time that I really felt that I was undocumented was when my abuelita, my grandma, passed away, and we couldn't go to her funeral. And this year, that was my dad's mom. And this year, his dad passed away too.
No, I mean, he just wanted to see it. I mean,
How many more entierros? I don't know how to get entierros. How many more burials do we have to miss? How many more over time are we? Because Democrats are only fighting for people like me. 750,000 of us. There's millions and millions of people out there that don't have this protection, and we need Democrats, and we need you out there to fight for them. For all of you dreamers out there, we have to fight for everybody. There's nothing left to lose. Trump is coming to a presidency, so why are we taking crumbs? Why are we fighting for crumbs?
Yeah.
So, Luis Gutierrez and all the Democrats, we want you to make these offices in D.C. and your offices at home sanctuary spaces. You have people under deportation proceedings now or that will be under Trump's administration, and you need to take them in and protect them. You need to push for the pardons for everybody. And you need to fight for the deportation cases in your district, even if they have criminal charges.
So we're gonna, as you heard, we're right out inside Representative Luis Gutierrez's office. But there's a group of 18 individuals, dreamers and supporters, asking for permanent protection of all undocumented immigrants, not just dreamers. They believe that under a Trump presidency, the concern and the priority is not going to be with them as benefactors of DACA, but to other, the priority for deportation is going to be with other groups that do not have any kind of protection from executive order or a bill. So what they're asking is trying to look for congressmen and women that have been very open about their support for undocumented immigrants, and they try to tell them basically that they need to be bold and they need to fight the good fight and basically ask for protection not just for dreamers but also for all undocumented immigrants. That's what they were just saying.
So, my name is Juan Pablo. I am also a dreamer. I've been fighting for immigrant rights for the past 5 years. Like a lot of dreamers, I started fighting out for dreamers and trying to protect dreamers from deportations. I even worked stopping deportations first for dreamers. But one of the things that happened to me is that once I started helping people in detention centers, everybody started getting my number. And I would get calls from dreamers and also people who weren't dreamers, who had families, who had jobs and everything, and then were in detention for months, years at a time. And when we first started, I didn't know how to fight those cases. I had to literally tell people, I can't help you. People who weren't dreamers, I couldn't help you. And that's what Democrats are doing right now. But what I did is I chose to fight, and I chose to start fighting for those who weren't dreamers. And I was able to start, but I'm only one person. I couldn't stop them. These are Democrats, these are politicians, they have way more power than a single person like we have. But even then, it doesn't matter because we as immigrants also have a duty to go out there and fight for ourselves. We have a labor power that we can use. And we need to show the United States that we're worth something. Not Democrats tell or divide the immigrant community. So please stand with me.
So we are going to be, for those tuning in to this fusion, we are right outside Luis Gutierrez, Representative Luis Gutierrez's office, where there's about 18 to 20 supporters of Dreamers and Dreamers themselves who are here asking for Representative Gutierrez to advocate for permanent protection for all undocumented immigrants, not just Dreamers. They believe that under Trump presidency, Dreamers are not going to be a main target, but the undocumented community would actually be. So that's why they are trying to ask for. We have not seen yet any Capitol Police come up. We might have the first officer, maybe not, he's just passing by. As we see, which I believe that maybe Representative Gutierrez's office have not called the Capitol Police. We saw Capitol Police showed up prior whenever they were at the Congresswoman Lofgren's office, but so far they've been here for about 20 to 30 minutes, and we have not seen any police presence just yet. So we're gonna be taking a break for a minute, and then we'll be coming back with more as there's new developments happening. Thank you so much.